Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for signing up. I'm really glad that you're here. I have always been somewhat of a transformation junkie. I have rituals and habits and comfort zones that give me a feeling of stability and certainty, just like everyone else. But I actually love change, and particularly inner change. I seek it out and look for ways to facilitate it inside myself. I love transformation work, self-exploration and self-discovery, and doing inner work and applying psychological theories and philosophies and engaging in spiritual practices for self-development and personal evolution. I caught the bug in my late teens when I was introduced to a Shaktipat guru. And then shortly after that, I ended up getting into a relationship with a therapist. And I've been delving deeper and deeper for more than 30 years. I still remember the feeling I had after doing my first holotropic breathwork session in Colorado with Stan Groff when I was 20 years old. I could only describe it as like hanging on the very thin end branch of a tree that was dangling out in the middle of the vast expanse of the dark, eternal, cosmic void. Not really knowing what was happening, but also knowing that I was on the edge of a whole new way of perceiving and going about life, myself, and basically everything. And something inside me knew, this is what you are meant to be doing, Melissa. And I was curious to see where it leads. And well, that curiosity has never stopped guiding me. I have been through a lot throughout all of that time, many processes and practices, many extremely difficult experiences and challenges that I alternately chose and found myself in the midst of. I continue to dive deep, and I have worked with some awesome guides and teachers, some of the best really. I've gone through massive and deep transformations and many lifetimes in this one lifetime. And I'm continually looking to expand my understanding of myself and life and all the time and on many levels. I am a totally different person than I was even 3 years ago. And I'm continually growing and changing and integrating what I learn and experience. So I have a lot of enthusiasm for the increase in momentum occurring on the planet right now, and a lot to share that will help facilitate the process for you if you're open to it. This isn't just a masterclass. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I enjoy diving deep into the psycho-emotional and energetic subtleties and nuances of personal growth and reality creation. And I want to verify for you right now that you are in a moment. We are in a moment of recognition that something in you is ready to shift, and that something in you is mirroring a greater shift that is happening on our planet. Our vibratory field has elevated. The tipping point or critical mass has been reached, and we are ready for a whole new experience. You are ready for that new experience, ready for an expanded experience of truth, inner-outer alignment, and a manifest reality that is dynamic and potent, self-directed, and highly curated and cultivated from higher wisdom and awareness. For over 30 years, I've been exploring, living, practicing, developing, and guiding and cultivating deep inner transformation. And what you're about to hear is not theory. It's a lived practice. And it's profound and powerful and deeply fulfilling. Most people don't realize that conscious creation isn't about doing more. It's about being more aligned in everything you do and are. More regulated, more attuned, more grounded in your body. And in this masterclass, We're going to talk about the actual energetic mechanics of creation, not the fantasy level, raw law of attraction stuff that you've already heard, but the real work of transforming your nervous system, rewiring your identity, and really shifting your vibrational field so that life begins to meet you in a whole new way. You can look forward to how you perceive and experience what appears before you being radically and permanently altered from how you are currently perceiving and experiencing it. I know this because I've lived it for years, decades actually. I did all the things and more. I was doing shadow work, engaging in the deep inner work of sacred psychology, body-centered somatic therapies, karma yoga, seeing everything as a reflection, identifying projections, processing and owning them, and realizing a lot as I was doing this and going about my life. And I still kept finding myself in the same dynamics, although I was perceiving and responding to them differently. It wasn't until I started working with the subtle energetics of identity and how our nervous system actually responds to our sense of self and how we experience safety, power, and consider possibility that things really began to shift. Once I understood that some part of my system didn't feel safe to expand, didn't really believe on some level that it was possible to really have a radically new lived experience, and that I had to reconfigure and reinterpret how I held and moved with my own power in my life, that everything changed. And this is what I now talk about on my channel, teach and guide others through. Because here's the truth, and I'm sure you've heard this before. You manifest what you're ready to see about yourself, realize, and process. In other words, what your system is attuned to, or what you currently are projecting outward. You manifest from your identity. And most of our identities were built through trauma, fear, conditioning, limitation, and repetition or familiarity, not through an open field of infinite possibility, safety, certainty, and the clarity that brings peace and choice that springs from that rooted peace. Which means that even if you do all the right things, if your mind thinks about all the painful what ifs and negative outcome possibilities and doubts about it working out, which indicates that your nervous system doesn't believe it's safe to have this new experience and to receive more, it will block it, throw up foils and resistances to block it, right? And this is where we can make the shift into power. This is the essence of quantum identity work. You can't simply affirm a high-minded new version of yourself. You have to take steps from where you currently are to gradually, more and more, become her in your body. That means creating safety, spaciousness, and sovereignty in your nervous system, so you're not pulled back into old patterns every time something stretches you. Because the truth is, the power isn't loud or forceful, right? It's steady, it's calm, it's rooted, it's clear. And when you begin operating from that place, your reality changes pretty quickly. If you're here, maybe you've asked yourself in frustration, exhaustion, and maybe even dismay, why isn't my reality reflecting all the healing I've done? Why do I keep mysteriously cycling through the same patterns despite deep inner work? Why am I not fully living within the higher vision I hold? Why does it feel like something intangible is still unknown, not mastered, and curiously untapped, which is preventing me and holding me back? That's because transformation is cyclical and multivalent, and the mind always wants to be involved, commenting on, narrating, and associating, and insists it has the answers and knows, but is limited from accessing the one key thing. The subtle energetic mechanics of creation actually lie beyond the mind. But we don't want to eliminate the mind, right? We use it to take us to the edge, and then we train ourselves to let it go. Because you can't think your way to a new life. You have to train yourself to become it and then let go into it. So let me guess, you're someone who's done a lot of healing work, right? You've journaled, meditated, visualized, listened to pre-recorded hypnosis sessions on general and maybe even more specific common themes, right? You've been to therapy, you've read the books, you've done the courses, and yet some core part of your reality hasn't shifted. Why? Because most methods don't address the root structure of your identity. They give you techniques, but they don't show you how to actually become the person who lives in a different timeline. Honestly, if your inner structure, your subconscious identity doesn't shift, your external reality won't and even can't. It's like trying to rearrange furniture on casters in a house that's tilting and sinking at the foundation. Manifestation works in layers. First, your attention, then your emotion, then your identity, then your embodiment, then your field. Only when your entire system aligns with a new frequency do things click into place and stay there. This is why some people can't or can manifest something quickly, but then they lose it just as fast because their system wasn't stable at that frequency. It wasn't regulated through each level. It wasn't embodied thoroughly. You have to become the new version of yourself in every layer of your being. That's the only way that change sticks. So why aren't the old tools working? Well, let's break this down because it's not that they aren't working or at least contributing to the change, right? It's because if your identity is I'm not safe, or I have to struggle, or I always get close but never make it, or some other it's always or I never thing, whatever it might be for you, then your nervous system is scanning for evidence to confirm that, even if consciously you're saying the opposite, right? You may consciously want success, money, love, but your body is still bracing for the what if of disappointment, right? Your system is still tuned to lack, abandonment, failure. And so you unconsciously sabotage, or you may even be conscious of it as it's happening and watching it happen, and you allow it anyway. What is that all about, right? I'm sure you've experienced that, right? You delay, you procrastinate, you stay in relationships that drain you. You talk yourself out of taking the leap. You get an idea and then begin complicating it and never take the steps. It's because your identity hasn't caught up to your desire. So what's the solution, right? It's not about working harder or trying to force change. So I'm not going to sugarcoat this, okay? Some of that may be necessary. I'm really tired of seeing people dangle ease and flow as if it doesn't require action or work or making hard choices which create or initiate change, right? That's a misrepresentation and it's misleading people. It's more so about building a regulated, coherent, integrated self-concept that can actually hold steady the reality you desire. This means doing the deep inner identity work, discovering where you are misaligned and making adjustments, right? Learning to shift your nervous system into a state of safety. And we'll get very deep into what that looks like for you. right? It's about connecting with and practicing moment to moment, opening to and aligning with your higher self, rewiring that inner voice that tells you who you are not, and what's possible or not possible, right? When all that comes together, things start moving pretty fast. Mastering the art and science of creation is not about bypassing or fantasizing in a delulu kind of way or chasing after anything. It's about discovering and tapping into and then aligning with the truest, most originary frequency of who you really are, and learning to cultivate your access to it and acclimating to it so you can more consistently create from that space. It's a multidimensional process that includes rewiring the repetitive thought streams that you think define your identity, right? Clearing old karmic and emotional patterns, including trauma and its retinue of fears and resistances and other things, cultivating a grounded and comforting practice of self-regulating your nervous system, learning to perceive and interact with reality through a clear and open lens and field. This is what allows you to not just attract, but to stabilize new outcomes into your attentive reality, to hold a more accurate inner awareness in your field of attention, which enables you to choose in each moment to embody a new timeline. Now, I just got a little intense there on purpose because this takes discipline. There's no way around it. This work isn't just about understanding reality creation, but about becoming the kind of person who can actually live it out. And that takes discipline. For years, I was still carrying subconscious roles, beliefs, and emotional wounds that I had thought that I cleared, right? I was definitely aware of them, but my intellect's attachment and pride, even in the fact that I had figured it all out, I made all the connections and figured out all the intricacies and dynamics, was actually still me holding on to them. And this blocked real change. And these are some of the ways that the ego and the intellect cleverly create an illusion of healing or attainment. The shift didn't fully land into these deeper levels until I began using the compassion key daily. Then, layer by layer, things I didn't even realize were still operating began falling away. And my thoughts and ways of perceiving things began shifting. And within that came this radical redesign of my entire life from the inside out. And I have come to understand that compassion is the ground. Everything else grows from there. Now, Compassion Key is one of the main pillars of this entire course, and honestly, of my whole life. And on the surface, it might seem really simple. It almost feels silly, right? You repeat a phrase, you give compassion to an aspect of yourself. That's it, right? But what actually happens through that practice is nothing short of alchemical and miraculous. This process bypasses the analytical mind and goes straight into the energetic root system of your being, because it incorporates aspects of the internal family systems, if you've heard of that, and inner child work. It clears karmic imprints as it dissolves old stories. It helps parts of you feel seen. And when they are, they change their stance and they let go. The entire trajectory of my inner world has shifted since integrating this daily. Identities I didn't even know I was still entangled with have emerged, been deeply and significantly engaged with, and dissolved. And as those old scripts, aspects, and deeply impressed identities dissolved, my attitude, understanding, and behavior started changing, and my outer life started radically shifting. So in this course, Compassion Key isn't just a tool, it's one of the main pillars, and you'll start to see it becomes the basis of so many other approaches energetic, practical, and even spiritual. Because this is what most people are doing. They are keeping the head and the heart cut off from each other, and often not even realizing it. And then they wonder why they feel like they can't move from their deeper knowing or create any momentum in their lives. And the brain is running in the same circles, and these associative pathways are familiar and deeply ingrained, so they override our intuition and whatever clarity we have accessed or developed, right? The brain is constantly defaulting to, let's stay normal and safe. Let's not try something new or different, right? Let's stay where it's predictable. That's where so many of us get stuck. We don't recognize that we're in a pattern because the pattern feels like us. It feels like home, like me. Even if it's what I used to refer to as comfortably uncomfortable, right? I'm used to it, even though I don't like it. It makes sense to me because I'm not willing to do what it takes, make the hard choices or take the actions to change the situation. Or perhaps I feel like it's not possible. That possible, impossible thing again, right? From before. These are all beliefs and personality paradigms. This is where the practice and the discipline comes in. So much of this work is about choosing again and again to interrupt the pattern, to bring awareness to the pattern, and create moments of presence where you notice, right? That's the old pattern. That's the familiar emotion. That's the fear voice. That's the projection. That's the trauma talking, right? And instead of reacting from it, you pause, right? You breathe. You ask, what would my higher self choose here? And sometimes you don't know, right? Sometimes you just do the pause and you don't know what to ask after that. But you can go into self-discovery mode, self-inquiry mode, deep questioning. That moment of choice, of discovery, of revelation, that's everything. Because you're not reinforcing the old pattern anymore. You're starting to break it up and construct a new one. And over time, that new pathway becomes the one that's familiar. That's how we rewire. You don't have to fix everything all at once. You just need to interrupt the cycles as they are drawing you back into them and you notice them. I'm back there again. No, I want to be over here now. Okay? Even 1% more awareness is enough to start. Because when you're more aware, you can choose. And when you choose, you reclaim your power. So if you're feeling frustrated, you're not alone. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you. This is human nature. Okay? It's psychology, sociology, personality. You're just learning how to listen to a part of you that most people have been taught to ignore and push down. But your system is wise. This universe, life, physical reality, it will show you where you're out of alignment. Not to punish you, sometimes it feels like that, but to invite you back. If you want to come back, those moments when something doesn't feel good, that's feedback from the universe, from your biology, from your higher self. And when you learn to listen to and respond to that feedback without shaming yourself, your whole relationship with change begins to shift. So this is about learning to trust yourself again on a whole other level, to discern what's truly you versus what's been layered on top of you. And to do that, you need tools, you need practices, you need a framework that doesn't just tell you to raise your vibration, but shows you how to recalibrate your system at every level. That's what this work is. Applying these teachings and practices, actually doing the work on a regular basis, sometimes deeper and more intensely, other times lighter and funnier and more freely, like it becomes play, right? In these ways, you are returning to yourself again and again and again. So let's recap a little. If you're frustrated, struggling, or just feeling like you're not quite there yet, you are entangled. It's as simple as that, okay? Most of us operate from these deeply ingrained cycles and patterns and habits, right? They're identity structures built from childhood, ancestral trauma, societal programming, and emotional pain that we have built structures around that severely and profoundly limit us in our ability to create. And they exist on every level to varying degrees, okay? Your reticular activating system filters reality to match your inner map as you are working to shift it over time. That inner map is comprised of karmic attachments, which magnetize familiar dynamics in different sequences at every level of your being, body, mind, energy, and subtle bodies. And your unconscious self-concept acts like a thermostat, calibrating you back every time you try to shift away from your old identity. But here's the thing. Once you have the eyes to see the pattern, you can engage disciplined effort to shift it in the moments when you need to most. But you have to train your attention. You see where I'm going with this? You have to practice self-discipline, okay? This is speaking to you. The full quantum creation course is now open on a rolling basis, and I'm offering 30% off for those of you who enroll via the full pay link below. And I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes, but you can scroll down and join now if you already know that this is for you, okay? Because even the most aware, seemingly grounded or spiritual people can get stuck. And why is that? Because we try to manifest with our minds while the body is frozen in old trauma. Because we may be mired in unsupportive relationships or are surrounded by doubting Thomases and it'll never happen Nellies, right? Because we say affirmations while an oppositional reality check mental habit disputes it, right? Because we're holding subconscious resistance. Because we sabotage ourselves by chasing timelines before healing and laying bare the karmic root structure that keeps us blindfolded and turning around in circles like we're playing some kind of game, right? This work is not about pushing harder. It's about bringing awareness to and tuning in deeper into the background processes that are at play in your own human psyche and the mental framework that has been programmed into us. The shift begins when you stop trying to escape where you are and start listening to and seeing and therefore realizing what it's trying to show you and teach you. So you don't have to believe it'll happen in order for it to work, okay? You don't have to believe that you're worthy yet. You don't have to believe you're a vibrational match to the thing that you want. You don't. You simply have to keep shifting your identity little by little over time. You simply have to decide, well, this is who you are now. And then you keep deciding that in every day, every minute, especially in the moments when life tries to convince you otherwise or show you something different, right? You're not trying to believe something out there. You're practicing the frequency of already being it in here, right? That's how the new and different timeline gets created. It's not about fixing everything first, okay? It's about becoming a person who expects, accepts, and allows things to be different now. And yes, you will wobble. You'll hear old voices trying to pull you back. You'll find yourself in the same energy loops and interpersonal dynamics, wondering, like, how did I get here again? And that's okay. It's part of the practice. Because what changes your life isn't the moments when it's easy, right? It's the moments when you notice yourself defaulting back and you interrupt the pattern. You come back to your breath, to your awareness, back to your new identity. And you say to yourself, I'm here right now, even here. I'm creating a new outcome. Even now, I trust myself to choose again. Even this moment is part of the pattern interrupt, right? Noticing. So the Quantum Creation course is a 5-week activation of your creative, conscious, and energetic, attentive power. It's not just about learning. It's about shining a very bright light into the back rooms of your life, okay? Opening the cupboards and clutter clearing all the old stuff that you've stored in there and left in there for decades and even lifetimes. It's about taking a dental pick to the crust in the corners and crevices that have escaped your attention until now. It's about becoming as fully aware as you possibly can at this time and further unfolding that full awareness over time. Inside this course, we explore the psycho-cybernetic loop and reality creation, mental discipline and energetic clarity, karmic entanglements and timeline cycles, discovery of old and embodiment of new self-concepts, the most accurate and highly refined formula for sustainable conscious creation. Once you sign up, you'll have access to the course portal where all the written and audio lessons, guided meditations, journaling prompts, and recorded compassion key clearing sessions are made available each day. We will also have 2 live group clearing calls. And these live group calls, my whole body just lit up, because this is really where the rubber meets the road and a lot gets cleared. You get to see and hear what's coming up for other people taking the course, and based upon what's coming up in the chat, I will do relevant on-the-fly group clearings, as well as calling on people who volunteer to do one-on-one clearing sessions in front of the whole group. And these get pretty intense, but it's a profound opportunity for you to see yourself reflected and to also clear your own projections and assumptions and limited beliefs in tandem with the other people who are taking the course. All of this is designed, has been designed, to recode your identity field, because you are not your past and you are not your future either. You're in the space in between. You are the present moment, and what you choose in each present moment to align with right now is creating both, right? It's setting into motion the trajectory of your future, and it is recontextualizing and therefore rewriting your past. So let's talk about recoding, okay? Recoding is the process of shifting your identity from the inside out, and that's what we're talking about here. Not just your thoughts, but your nervous system, your subtle energy field, and the way your reticular activating system is filtering the world. You can repeat affirmations all day long. You can do the visualizations, the journaling, the scripting. But if your nervous system is still wired to distrust or be uncomfortable with peace, if your subconscious still expects things to fall apart and secretly hopes it does because then it gets to be right, because unbalance is what you're used to, and peace, well, peace is boring, right? If your energy field is still calibrated to rejection, confusion, or fear, because it gives you an excuse not to move forward, then nothing really sticks, okay? That's why so many people feel temporary enthusiasm and relief, but no results after engaging with the mindset work, because they haven't recoded their field. Recoding starts with recognition, right? Recognition that your default setting is not you. It's a series and network of patterns and programs and defenses that you adapted, right? maybe to survive, maybe to stay safe, maybe to feel loved. But now that old identity is blocking your clear vision of the present and preventing aligned creation of the future. Recoding happens when you begin shifting the reference point of your life from your trauma and compensated sense of self to your truth, from your survival self to your sovereign self. And that process is what I guide you through step by step inside the Quantum Creation course. Okay? Inside the course, you'll learn to identify and dissolve old identity anchors and inner obstacles. Recalibrate your emotional body to peace, not chaos. Build energetic trust in safety, success, and self-honoring. Align your outer reality with your new internal blueprint. Okay? This is where you stop trying to change and start actually being different, actually showing up as different. This is where healing becomes an inner revolution and an outer evolution. And one of the biggest revelations in this work is realizing that right now, you don't need to fix your life. Okay, right now, first, you need to update who you believe you are. That is step one, right? Your self-concept is the linchpin. That's why we weave an entire layer of self-concept work inside the Quantum Creation course. And for those who feel like this level of transformation is a stretch, maybe you don't feel ready for the kind of change I'm talking about, maybe it feels scary to you, you can begin with the self-concept course as a foundation. So let's go inside for a few minutes, okay? So take a nice deep breath, or a few if you feel like you need to, and close your eyes and place a hand on your heart and ask yourself, who do I become when no one is watching? Where do I give up and resort to old habits and patterns and ways of being? Where in my life am I giving my power away? What identity still plays out through me even though I've outgrown it? Now take a nice deep breath and realize you can plant a new seed, right? You can water it and nurture it and watch it grow. In fact, you can and you will. So take a nice deep breath and take your time coming back. This course is for those who know they are here for more, who have maybe just started this kind of deep inner work and want to orient themselves for success. And also for those that have done a considerable amount of inner work, but are still hitting these invisible walls or bumping up against deeply rooted entanglements and patterns, and maybe you're at a loss for how to unravel them, right? It's for the healer, the artist, the entrepreneur, the visionary, the mystic. It's for anyone who's tired of trying to fit into systems that were never built for their highest expression, okay? This is your permission slip to reclaim your energy and enthusiasm, your truth, and your role as the conscious creator of your life. So, what is the transformation that you can expect? Clarity, sovereignty, magnetism, peace. When you move through this process, you don't just change your mindset or your inner dialogue. You change your vibratory field and the direction of your attention and awareness, and therefore the direction of your whole life. You begin to speak and act from clarity and deeper knowing. You begin to attract aligned opportunities and relationships. You begin to disentangle from outdated karmic dynamics. You begin to hold your vision without effort, with peace and power and certainty. You begin to feel deeply rooted in your own energy. And this is about learning to work with and through the energy of life instead of against it. And I've poured decades of experience into this course. I've created it to be very streamlined and concentrated. There's no fluff in there, just potent activations and clear frameworks that will change how you live and create. It's organized in a sequential flow that enables you to build a practice that shifts your focus and expands your awareness and hones your attention on what matters most to you without any fluff or filler. It gets straight to the point. Each day's lessons teach and explain something new and give you practical tools and homework to put them into practice in your life right away. So right now, when you enroll in the full pay option of Quantum Creation, you'll receive 30% off the course. This is a limited time offer for those who feel the resonance and are ready to take action. If you're being pulled toward this work, trust that pull. It may be the most important investment you make in your future timeline. And this discount is only available through the link on this page and will only be up for the next half hour until this masterclass ends. So this is an invitation into your next timeline, not through effort, but through aligned power. You are standing at the edge of a whole new timeline. If you've made it this far, something in you already knows that something in you is ready, right? You sat through this class, you felt the truth of it. You've listened and opened and explored and reflected. This moment is not accidental, okay? This is a portal, a threshold, a quantum invitation. The version of you who lives in alignment with their highest reality is already whispering, right? Calling and maybe even insisting, it's time. Maybe you're ready to go all in with mastering conscious creation. Maybe you've been doing inner work for years and you're finally ready to integrate it in a way that brings everything together. The spiritual, the energetic, the psychological, the practical, and claim the life that's truly waiting for you. Or maybe you're feeling the resonance but still feel like you need a more grounded foundation. You know you're ready for change, but not quite ready for the full leap. Okay? If that speaks to you, and I want to offer you a mid-step or a bridge, I created something called the Sovereign Self course. Perhaps you feel like you need more in the preparatory stages and need to build your foundation for aligned creation, right? If you've been circling this path but aren't quite ready to enroll in the Quantum Creation course, the Sovereign Self course is a companion, and it can also be used as a preparatory course for exactly this reason. It's self-paced, 1 month long, designed to help you recalibrate your identity, reclaim your energy, and anchor into the clarity of who you really are, which is a crucial step in mastering reality creation, because true creation starts with self-concept, and a clear and self-discovered and architected self-concept is the most powerful field that you can stand in. And as a thank you for staying with me through this masterclass, you can enroll in the Sovereign Self today for $50 off. Okay, so just use the Sovereign50 code at checkout, and that discount will be applied. The link and the details are right below this video. So if you've made it this far, I know you are feeling called to do something, right? Your future is shaped by each moment that you say yes, even if it's a soft yes, even if it's a whisper. Okay. Let your yes open a portal. You are standing on the edge of a whole new reality. Everything you've walked through, survived, grown from, and awakened to has led you here to this moment. You don't have to be fully ready. You just have to be curious and willing. Whether you feel called into the Quantum Creation course or the Sovereign Self course, I want to honor you for being here. You are part of this massive shift that's going on, and your presence here is already supporting the momentum and calling your soul into alignment with your truth. So if it's a yes for you, then I'll meet you on the other side. If you're not quite sure yet, and you're still trying to decide whether or not you want to let the shift begin now, understand that you are standing at the precipice of a whole new earth reality. You are pulling together everything you have evolved through on your many lifetimes and many timelines. You are right on time to make this life the one in which you do it all, get it all, and settle into a beingness that is beyond what you imagined. You're at the edge of a new cycle. A future self is calling you forward, and what you choose in this moment can shift everything. And I would be honored to walk with you through this journey. So please remember that your power lives not in knowing everything, but in saying yes to your own becoming. So if you're ready for a container that actually meets you where you are, if your soul has been whispering, there must be more, there must be something else that I'm missing, this is the answer you've been waiting for. The discounts are only available as long as the MasterClass screen stays up, which is for the next 30 minutes. So this is your moment to trust the resonance. And if you're still unsure, then let's just take a moment and close our eyes and check in with our highest self, okay? So take a nice deep breath, focus on the heart center and solar plexus. Allowing your body to relax down into the surface that you're resting on with each exhale. And when you're ready, imagine your attention going just up above your head, a little to the back, asking to make contact with and calling into your awareness the presence of your higher self. Just take a moment to feel into that connection. And now I want you to imagine a landscape before you. And in that landscape, a pathway stretches out before you, and you begin walking down this pathway through this landscape of your life. And as you walk this path, the elements of your life appear, situations, circumstances, and people you know and interact with and arrive, and you feel various ways about them and have different interactions with them. And as you're walking on this path, you notice just up ahead that the path appears to divide. Now imagine that you have decided to take the course, either one. One path represents how your life will unfold having taken the course and benefited from its teachings and integration. You have gotten really clear about who you really are. You have released resistance and fear around expressing as your true self, and you've aligned with that way of being. You have shifted your inner dialogue and have become adept at reframing and redirecting the thought patterns which remain. And you've gotten very clear about what kind of a life you want to lead. What is your day-to-day reality like? How do you feel? The other path is the path of how your life will unfold if you choose not to take the course. You continue on in your life as it is, feeling the same way, doing the same thing. Perhaps the decision isn't made now, but at a later date, okay? Perhaps you take the Sovereign Self course instead of the Quantum Creation course, whichever one you choose. What changes do you notice taking place in your life? If you are able to master self-concept and reality creation, How is your life different? What are you able to bring into being? Who arrives in your life to support your journey? Who leaves your life because they are no longer aligned with who you are? How is your life different? And in what ways is it the same? Please spend as much time as you need here exploring both paths. And when you're done and you're ready, you can come back and open your eyes. What was it like for you imagining your path into the future? Does going on a deep dive like this align with your desires and your path? Will it support your becoming? If so, again, I would be honored to witness and support your unfolding. Thank you for spending time with me today. Until next time.